Hello again, green-fingered royal watchers. I hope you're settled comfortably, because the story blossoming and wilting at Highgrove won't be captured in a single fragrant paragraph. We're unspooling an entire season's worth of intrigue. How King Charles cultivated the world's most talked-about organic show garden. How that paradise suddenly lost almost all its expert caretakers. And why the fallout now threatens everything from VIP tour dates to the King's public eco-legacy. Think of this as a ramble through hidden corners of the estate. We'll linger among the thyme, peek behind the potting shed door, and pause at the staff cottage where morale crumbled like last winter's frost-killed dahlias. Seeds of a royal obsession. To understand the current crisis, we must rewind to 1980, back when young Prince Charles bought a rather tired Georgian house near Tetbury and discovered its lawns looked more municipal than magical. Consulting only a battered notebook and the wisdom of head gardener Willie Bertram, he began sketching rectangles for a walled kitchen garden, experimenting with biodynamic manure, and planting a quarter-acre of aromatic herbs long before permaculture was a buzzword. Friends teased him for talking to his trees. Charles replied that life was quicker to flourish when you spoke encouragement. By the mid-90s, Highgrove had morphed into a patchwork of themed areas. The wildflower meadow shimmering like Monet on pollen, the willow cathedral arching toward Gloucestershire skies, and the Time Walk. Those famous topiary peacocks stalking clay pots like royal sentinels. What outsiders rarely appreciate is the army required to keep such living art alive. Not just mowers and pruners, but soil scientists testing pH, compost specialists turning heaps at 4 a.m., and fruit gurus who can see a peach tree and predict next August's sugar content. For years, the estate quietly recruited from the tiny pool of British horticulturists who can graft a centuries-old rose and install a solar-driven irrigation pump on the same afternoon. Enter the red ink era. Fast forward to Charles's accession. The new king suddenly juggled state boxes, Commonwealth diplomacy, a grueling cancer diagnosis, and the grief of losing both parents in rapid succession. Friends say his evening escape became even more sacred. A twilight stroll among the hoverflies, red marker in hand, noting every wilting nasturtium and off-green hosta. Except that now, each note triggered a cascade of managerial instructions via Constantine Inami, executive director of Highgrove and loyal consigliere since the 1990s. Remove basil growth by tomorrow. Explore heritage cabbage for south border. Sample seeds by Friday. Who let herbaceous border number 3 slump? Urgent remedial staking. On good days staff accepted these memos as signs the boss still cared. On bad days they felt like a daily red report card, more scold than guidance. One orchard technician confided to me that the color alone raised heart rates. Try reading crimson ink at 7 a.m. before coffee. Your pulse thinks you're under exam conditions. Another gardener kept every note pinned to a corkboard. By Christmas the board looked like a crimson snowstorm, and morale matched the temperature, sub-zero. The wage route problem. Yet passion pressure might have been survivable if pay matched skill. Highgrove's gardeners sat on the King's Foundation payroll, a registered charity whose remit includes training disadvantaged youth in sustainable craft. That philanthropic status once felt noble, lately it meant frozen salaries that clung to statutory minimums. In 2023 a senior rose specialist took home scarcely more than the UK median barista. He loved the job, until rising mortgage rates left him choosing between petrol to commute, or heating his cottage. When HR politely declined a review, he resigned in tears, leaving 117 rare Rosa Gallica cultivars suddenly orphaned. Storm clouds gather. Early spring 2024 should have been triumphant. Highgrove film crews lined up to spotlight its zero glyphosate regime, tour tickets sold out within hours. Instead, March saw 3 resignations in a fortnight. April added 4 more. By June only a single long-timer remained, plus temporary agency workers unfamiliar with the estate's idiosyncrasies. Tour guides reported hidden corners roped off, because nobody could top-dress the borders to royal standard. Worse, journalists sensed a story. When the Sunday Times splashed, "King's gardeners quit over toxic culture," Buckingham initialized crisis mode. The independent audit. The King's Foundation Board engaged Greencore HR consultancy to interview everyone from pot washers to pasture managers. Their 60-page dossier, leaked to the press, reads like a horticultural thriller. Pages of anonymous quotes detailing microfault finding, 90-minute lunch breaks cut to 20, disciplinary emails for failing to deadhead Cosmos before a thunderstorm. Yet the harshest verdict landed on finance. Compensation does not reflect market value of advanced horticultural expertise. Immediate benchmarking essential. In other words, pay up or watch box borders rot. Charles S. Crossroads. Insiders tell us the king reacted with mingled rage, sorrow and, crucially, embarrassment. He felt personally bruised, one courtier admits. Highgrove is his Eden, and Eden is now plastered with help-wanted posters. But fury soon turned to fix-it mode. Charles summoned Inami and 2 trustees to Clarence House, demanded a timeline to rehire at least 6 lead gardeners before frosts returned and, significantly, approved salary bands aligned to RHS Wisley rates. For some roles that means a 30% leap. The palace will frame it as modernizing compensation structures. Staff call it overdue recognition. The personality puzzle. Still unresolved, the king's own perfectionism. One aide suggested switching red Sharpies for friendly blue. Charles laughed and kept the red. Another floated a neutral third-party garden manager to buffer daily critiques. That idea remains on the table, but Charles privately confessed that scribbling feedback is part of his wind-down ritual. "I see it, I note it, it stops me ruminating at 3 a.m. Psychologists call that cognitive offloading. Gardeners call it a high-pressure memo. The compromise may involve a digital logging app so gardeners can see a to-do list while sparing them the exclamation marks. Tourists and trade-offs. Meanwhile, the tourist machine rumbles on. Highgrove's public days generate vital charity funds. Tickets start at £33, cream tea extra. Disappointed visitors snap blurred photos of half-pruned hazels and tweet #wilted royalty. PR swiftly touts new, restorative planting phase, inviting guests to appreciate gardening's cyclical nature. Cynics roll eyes, loyal subjects applaud transparency. Garden historians worry about deeper scars. A single mist mulch cycle can set a bed back 3 seasons, warns Dr. Lila Carstairs of Kew. Rare varieties stressed by neglect may bolt or regress. In lay terms, you can't resurrect a wilted wisteria by decree. 2024's horticultural hiccup could haunt 2026 bloom calendar. A new kind of coronation. But hope germinates. In August, applications opened for 6 Highgrove Heritage horticulturist posts, promising live-in cottages, RHS course funding and, shock, the commitment to quarterly well-being reviews. Over 300 specialists applied, including a former head of blooms at Annick and one of Chelsea Flower Show's gold medal rookies. Interviews start beneath the cedar of Lebanon, the same trunk where Charles built his treehouse in 1988. Symbolic? Absolutely. Prospective employees will complete a practical test, identify pests, sketch an eco-friendly soil remedy, and propose a new bed that aligns with King Charles's climate ethos without triggering micromanagement meltdowns. Those comfortable with bullet point feedback in a red pen will prosper. Beyond the hedges. The saga ripples far outside Tetbury. Environmental NGOs fret. If Britain's loudest eco-advocate can't run a stress-free sustainable garden, what message does that send? Anti-monarchists chortle, calling it another example of royal privilege resting on underpaid labour. Yet there's a subtler narrative. the collision of artisanal craft with 21st century HR norms. Highgrove straddles both worlds, a medieval estate shaped by one man's vision, yet employing skilled professionals who expect modern respect. Reconciling those spheres could model a future for heritage sites everywhere. Will weeds win, or will wisdom sprout? By next May the truth will be visible in petals, not press releases. If alliums stand proud, hedges crisp, and peaches meet the king's wrist-measured diameter, will know equilibrium returned. If nettles wave behind caution tape, expect another staff exodus and fresh headlines. For now, Charles has conceded one change that thrilled remaining gardeners. He will limit note writing to 2 nights per week, leaving spontaneous plant joys to flourish, ungraded, under moonlight. A small concession, but as any allotment keeper will tell you, a single inch of breathing space can save a sapling. So, keep your binoculars trained on Gloucestershire skies. When a new troop of gardeners turns up in muddy wellies, you'll spot the tentative buds of renewal. If you notice a flurry of red ink memos fluttering over the ha-ha wall like crimson leaves, well, perhaps we're due a second season of royal horticultural drama. Either way, we'll be here with the secateurs of analysis, pruning truth from rumor and composting each new twist for your viewing pleasure. Do you think Charles can tame his perfectionism, without diluting the magic that makes Highgrove unique? Would you brave crimson edits for the chance to cultivate the king's lilies? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like if you admire a good garden saga, and subscribe, so you'll never miss the next sprout of royal intrigue. Until then, may your roses be vibrant, your compost rich, and your bosses mercifully fond of blue ink.